Welcome inside the hump in Starkville, Mississippi. The Bulldogs back home for the first time in 23 days as Mississippi State welcomes in former friend and foe Coach John Brady and the Arkansas State Red Wolves. And good evening, I'm Matt Stewart, joined by former Tennessee Vols standout Dane Bradshaw. And Dane, Arkansas State 2-4 on the season, Mississippi State 5-3. Both these teams trying to figure out who they are, what they got, and where they're going this season.
And it's hard to get a feel for your team when some of your key players are out for Mississippi State, with Craig Sword being out of the lineup for the first part of the season. He was in the starting lineup last game, now getting his wind under him. Look for him to have an impact tonight. If you're Arkansas State, on the other hand, your record's a little deceiving. You've had the lead in a lot of these games, but just hadn't figured out a way to close it out. An example of a team still trying to learn how to win.
Well, Arkansas State led by former SEC coach John Brady, and he's got a newcomer in Anthony Livingston, who's already fourth in the Sun Belt at 17 points per game.
I know it's Sun Belt versus SEC, but don't be surprised if the best player on the court tonight isn't from the Sun Belt in Anthony Livingston.
Meantime, Mississippi State's Gavin Ware, and we'll tell you about him in a moment as we take a look at Arkansas State and their lineup and watch for their speedy point guard. P.J. Hardwick, very speedy point guard, very aggressive, makes things tough on defenses, averaging 5 assists per game, which is number 2 in the Sun Belt Conference. Now to Gavin Ware, who's 10th in the conference in rebounding and number 3 in the conference in block shots.
This guy's a beast, one of the most physical players in the conference. It'll be tough on him tonight because Mississippi State does not shoot it well from 3. As you see here, he's going to have to get some offensive boards and look for Arkansas State to make it tough on Ware inside by sagging off the perimeter.
And Mississippi State has Craig Sword back in the lineup tonight, just his second start of the season. He missed the first 4 games following preseason back surgery, limited in the next 3. Once Sword is healthy and rolling, this Mississippi State team will be a better team offensively. Antonio Petty to toss it up, and we're underway. Mississippi State in their home white and Arkansas State in the road black.
Arkansas State opened up in man-to-man, which is good for the Bulldogs. They've been facing a lot of zone.
Inside they go to Bakum. Outside they go to Golden, Gardner. And there is Hardwick running the show. Again, a big 6'10", 270 center, and standing on the sideline, Cameron Golden, first turnover tonight for the Red Wolves.
And on the other hand, the Bulldogs are the ones that open up in zone, and they frustrated the big man down low. He's going to have to pass it better out of a double team.
Devontae Bloodman will bring it up the floor for Mississippi State. Gavin Ware turns to face the basket, shot it over the rim. Bloodman the rebound.
Shot clock did not reset, so they're going to have to get something executed in a hurry.
Sword. And Mississippi State keeps it alive with their rebounding, averaging 38 boards per game.
Mississippi State not the best shooting team, but if they get 3 shots per possession, they might have a chance.
Here's Sword driving to the hoop, lost the ball. Good defense by Bakum not to cause contact. Golden, 3-point shot on its way, and Cameron Golden knocks down the 3. Hit 4 3-pointers in their 73-65 loss at Toledo last time out. Second shot. Bottom of the basket for Gavin Ware. Ware averaging 12.5 points per game, coming off a season-low 6 against Oregon State.
Really nice job by Rick Ray calling the pick and pop for them. They got to be creative in how they're going to get the ball to Ware with so many teams focused on it down low.
Golden again. Cameron Golden can really pull it up there, Dane. He's averaging 14.8 points per game.
Out of Memphis Ridgeway, he's not scared of this SEC foe.
Fred Thomas has been their leading scorer. In Craig Sword's absence, he knocks down his first shot of the game.
That's the guy from Mississippi State. He's been hot as a firecracker lately. That one was for 2, but he's been shooting the cover off it for 3.
Bakum inside against Ware, hooks it in.
That's where Ware can get better with his footwork down low and his speed. He's still got to lose a little bit more weight so that he can move his feet better in the post.
Travis Daniels from straight away. Rebound controlled by Arkansas State. Arkansas brings it up, quickly gets it to Golden. First touch for Livingston, fires inside to Bokuma, banks it in. And a timeout called by Rick Ray.
Ware's just got to be more aware. And that time he had his head down, he was ball watching and didn't see his man right behind him.
Arkansas State can match up size-wise inside, perhaps even bigger size-wise inside than Mississippi State.
Yeah, and again, Ware was staring right at the passer. You have to see man and ball, man and ball. If you only see one person, you're in trouble. And that time was an example where he might move his feet as well.
Nahum Bakum, a 6'10", 270-pound center who wears a size 18 shoe out of Harlem, New York, averaging 7 points per game, but has really played well the last couple of games. In fact, John Brady was impressed with how he was able to bang inside against Purdue.
Well, I think that's a great example of how everything is not lost when you're getting beat up like a team like Purdue. I mean, it was a blowout. But if you're a player, you're still fighting for playing time in a position. That's a great example of how you can prove yourself and also get into the starting lineup despite a big loss.
Yeah, he went 10 points, 10 rebounds, double-double against the Boilermakers despite the large 87-46 loss. And Mississippi State throws it away. That has been a huge problem for the Bulldogs this season. In fact, they are dead last in the conference in turnover margin, negative 2.2.
And uncharacteristic there because the one guy who's 13-4 assist-to-turnover ratio for him, I.J. Reddy, and arguably their best point guard, he throws it away on the first possession.
Sword comes off the floor during the timeout, and Golden continues to fire away. He's hit his first 3 shots.
You know, Matt, I think Coach Ray just said, the heck with all of you. I'm sitting all 5 of you down. He's got all 5 guys off the bench. He wants to play whoever's ready.
And a foul is going to be called away from the ball on Noy. So Falou Noy picks up our first foul of the ball game.
Again, not your typical lineup for Mississippi State does not have the platoon system like Kentucky has. But Rick Ray is doing this to send a message to his team right now, even if it costs him a couple of possessions.
Ball knocked away by Noy, and Golden gets it back. Inside Bakum against Noy. Lots of contact, and he fires it over the backboard. Wow, lots of contact on the week with no whistle.
You got to gather yourself, even if you're off balance and you think you can get the call, gather yourself and go up strong. Mississippi State likes to 3-quarter front on that front post, but they got to be careful not getting caught on top. That's twice that's happened.
Dunlap knocks down the 3. Maurice Dunlap, who averages only 2.8 a game, a freshman out of nearby Greenwood, Mississippi, knocked down the 3.
An opportunity knocks. You better be ready. You never know when your game's going to be called. The name's going to be called.
Bulldogs are the worst 3-point shooting team in the conference, hitting less than 4 a game. Now Houston on the drive behind the back, takes it coast to coast. Demetrius Houston, the freshman out of Montgomery Carver, lays it in.
I think we just saw why some of the Mississippi State coaching staff says this could be the best athlete on their team. He's just still learning how to play the game. And that's a glimpse of how athletic he can be going coast to coast.
Bulldogs down 3 in the opening 5. Stolen away. Ruckwez Johnson will jam it.
How about this, Matt? Rick Ray sends a message to his team, takes all 5 starters out, said, I've had it with you. If you're not ready, I'm going to put somebody in that will play. And their bench has now made it a 1-point game.
Yeah,
Great job by the bench.
And the second teamers on a 7-0 run. So Rick Ray brings in the second teamers. They respond with a 7-0 run to cut the Arkansas State lead to 12-11. And a couple of freshmen leading the way. Dunlap knocks down the 3. And then Ruckwez Johnson gets the steal and takes it home for the slam. And Merry Christmas from Greek Row here in Starkville, Mississippi, where the Mississippi State Bulldogs on a 7-0 run once Rick Ray was able to yank his starters, get his second team in time for our first edition of SEC Wired tonight. Let's hear what Coach Rick Ray had to say.
Hey, when y'all two gonna win now, y'all got to affect the game, okay? You got to rebound the basketball and be active, okay? And take great shots, okay? But we got to get out and go, okay? All right? IJ, you got to press the tempo when you get out there now. Press the tempo. It's not the start. We're just settling for jump shots. We're not getting the ball in the paint right there. And then we're lackadaisical on defense. Just chasing. Let's go. Let's go.
And I tell you what, he was not as fired up as you think a coach would be when his team came out, and was lackadaisical, as he said. He just got those starters out, got some guys in that wanted to play right away.
That's his style. I don't think there's any problem with the way he communicated with them.
First shot attempt by Livingston, and a foul is going to be called into play.
I thought it was interesting to hear Coach Rick Ray talk to some of his bench before they came to the game. One thing you and I were talking about before the game, Matt, is how they struggle with their bench production. Only twice so far this year have they outscored the opponent bench. And so he's telling those guys, look, you're not just coming in to give the starters a spell and give them a breather. You're going in there to produce something. So be ready. And they've clearly got that message tonight.
Livingston, a 72% free throw shooter, misses his first attempt of the night. He's a sophomore out of San Jacinto College. And is 17.3 points per game. His fourth best in the Sun Belt. Also leads the team with 6.5 rebounds per game. And I.J. Reddy in there, point guard now, got the rebound and hustles it up the floor to Houston. Boom with the rebound. Golden pump fake. Pass to the wing, got deflected out of bounds by Houston. Tell you what, we're hearing a lot of communication by Mississippi State on defense, which is always a good thing. Golden the miss, and Houston the rebound. Pass inside, and the bank shot in.
This is a Mississippi State team right now with not a lot of offensive threats, so they're going to have to do it collectively. And right now they're sharing the ball. Assists is a problem they've had with all season, but right now they're sharing it as a result.
9-0 run has Mississippi State on top.
I.J. Reddy, probably the best point guard on the team with a great look down low.
Wes Johnson with a couple of baskets in this ball game.
And Johnson has been a starter earlier in the year. Now with him coming off the bench, it gives them a threat to get some bench production.
Gardner had a shot blocked by Houston. And you know, Dane, we were talking about the size of Arkansas State inside, but out on the perimeter, Mississippi State has a distinct size advantage.
Well, they can bother some shots. And that time you see the shot by Noy down low. This is a really talented freshman with a lot of potential. I'm sure Coach Ray is excited to see him get things going early. It's his second bucket.
11-0 run now for the second teamers.
Excuse me, first bucket.
Fred Thomas will check back in. He's the first of the starters to be reinstated, if you will.
Yeah, Demetrius Houston's checking out saying, all right, we did this. You better not screw this up. Actually, he's thinking he might want to, so I can get back in the game.
Players don't think like that, do they?
Never, ever.
Gardner. Rebound controlled underneath by Livingston, and there you see the powerful body of Anthony Livingston getting position and putting it in. Breaks the drought for Arkansas State. Dunlap has already hit one three-pointer. Noy had the rebound and lost it.
Even though he already made one, Dunlap might want to turn one down in the shot clock first and wait for the second one to come back around.
You see, that's the skill set of Livingston. Scored inside, then he just launched a three. Puts it on the floor and drives. So you see the entire skill set right there in that one sequence where he got the ball down low on the rebound, stuck it in, he took a three, and then he was able to drive the basket.
Absolutely. He's an inside-out guy, and he will attack. And that left hand is always more difficult to defend if you're Mississippi State or anybody.
Livingston at the line for a second time. Rick Ray said that Livingston's a guy that could play anywhere in the country. And not off to a good start at the foul line. He's now 0 for 3. Very uncharacteristic. He had been 18 of 25 in the season.
Well, and it's that confidence from the free throw line that has him so aggressive driving in. Guys, typically they don't go in there if they're not a good free throw shooter. They don't want to get fouled. But in his case, he's got confidence he can knock it down.
Wow, 0 for 4. Muttering to himself as he makes his way back down to the floor to play defense.
Just keep an eye on how that might affect how aggressive he is down low.
Thomas launches the three. He's the #1 3-point shooter in the conference, but misses his first attempt at this game. Golden out of control. Livingston tipped it up there, and Noy comes away with the rebound for the Bulldogs. Ready. 3-point shot. Last thing you want to see Mississippi State do is taking a steady diet of threes.
This is one reason that they're not a good three-point shooting team. One reason is they don't take good shots. The other reason is they're not very good three-point shooters.
Inside, look at this Johnson partner.
Yeah. They could be average if they would take better shots, but that's exactly where they want the balls down low in the paint.
Rockwez Johnson has scored all 3 of his points in the paint, all 3 of his baskets in the paint, has 6 points. Hardwick on the drive right there to make it a 17-16 game.
Great seal by Kelvin Downs. Got in there, sealed the post, and opened up the drive.
Rockwez Johnson off to a great start. Had his foot inside the line. He's 4 for 4 and has 8 points.
Again, this is a guy that's used to playing valuable minutes, so he's not a guy coming off the bench shell-shocked by the opportunity. He's ready to go.
Foul is called underneath. Rick Ray, his team back in the ball game after falling behind early. We'll hear from him in SEC Wired when we get back. SEC Network Basketball is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. Holiday season here from Starkville, Mississippi, and Merry Christmas to you and your family as the Bulldogs with a 3-point lead on Arkansas State. Rick Ray's team fell behind early, got his subs in there, has turned this game around as we take you to another edition of SEC Wired.
Blue, 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 let's go. Blue. Cut. Move it. Move it. Good, good, RJ. Get back to this side, Fred. This side, Fred.
Rick Ray now in his 3rd season as the Bulldogs coach as he continues the rebuilding process here with this program. 29-44 so far in his 3 seasons.
Coach Ray shared with us before the game. He talked about his team's communication. He said we talk about ELO a lot of times. He said early, loud, and often. I think that's what he's trying to do as a coach.
Strong resume, assistant coaches at Clemson and Purdue, Northern Illinois, and Indiana State. In fact, he spent some time with his former boss, Brad Brownell, during the offseason. He said, look, they've got a simple game plan that we would like to emulate, and that is on defense, we contest jump shots. On offense, we don't take contested jump shots.
Pretty simple when you break it down that way. Rockwez Johnson on Livingston, looks for him to go down low.
And there's Livingston, turns it over, or did he? Apparently last touch by Mississippi State as Antonio Petty steps in and makes the call. With 5 on the shot clock, long 3-pointer buried by Golden.
He is not fast. He's coming in this place to get a win.
3 3-pointers for Golden already in this ballgame. Rockwez Johnson has had the hot hand for Mississippi State, and it continues. 10 already for Johnson.
Good patience for Mississippi State. It took them 22 seconds to get the ball inside the three-point line. But when they did, it was effective. They need to stick with that game plan.
He averages 11 points per game, 5.1 rebounds. He's at those numbers already points-wise. Off iron, Ware the rebound. Reddy loses control of the dribble. Saved by Thomas. Arkansas State has it. Hardwick leading a 3-on-1 break and stolen by Swart on the break.
That's what he does.
Fred Thomas traveled. Coming up after our game here on SEC Network, the Auburn Tigers in action as they welcome the Winthrop Eagles to the Auburn Arena, live at 9 Eastern exclusively on the SEC ESPN Network, and watch ESPN.
Fred Thomas that time, I thought, passed up a great three-point opportunity. There was penetration. They kicked it out. That's what he needs to take. Other times you need to pass it down, but that was a good opportunity that I thought he passed up.
Gardner for three. He knocks it down.
And just like that, Arkansas State shows us how it's gone on the other end. Penetration, kick it out to the corner. It's a much higher percentage three.
Red Wolves 4 of 9 on their threes, and now they have a 2-point or 1-point lead. Pardon me. Thomas launches the three that time. Off back iron. Thomas 0 for 2 behind the arc. Foul's going to be called on Arkansas State. Cameron Golden picks up the foul, his first. Second team foul on the Red Wolves. Daniels. Rebound Ware. Put it on the floor and then lost it. Cameron Golden 11 points on 4 of 7 shooting. 3 of 5 of those behind the arc. Rest of the team 11 points on 5 of 9.
Coach Brady told us Livingston's a great player, but he can't do it on his own. To get an upset, Golden was going to have to play big.
Gardner misses the three. Nonetheless, Arkansas State still shooting over 50% from the floor to start the game. Ware gets it back off the screen, follows his miss, and Downs gets it for Arkansas State and gives it to Gardner.
There's another possession, though, for the Bulldogs where they failed to really get it inside the three-point line. It's got to go inside first and then out. That's something Coach Brady is preaching these days.
Gardner penetrates and scoops it up and in.
I know Mississippi State is playing a zone. They're in a different defense than Arkansas State. But Arkansas State is really showing Mississippi State what they need to do, which is that right there.
Bloodman the drive. Ware tipped it in after the whistle. And Bloodman will be at the line when we get back, and Mississippi State starters have given up the lead. You're watching SEC Network basketball from the hump in Starkville, Mississippi. Matt Stewart along with Dane Bradshaw. Arkansas State with a 24-21 lead on host Mississippi State. And Dane, the starters for Mississippi State are minus 11 while they're on the floor in plus negative points, and the second teamers are plus 8. If you're Rick Ray, go with the second teamers, right?
There's no question, especially Rockwez Johnson, who has carried this team so far. The starters, they're just going to have to wake up and give them some production. The bench came in and did their job. They got things back on track, and then, but it's not just about the numbers and the plus 11, or excuse me, minus 11 and the plus 8. It was the energy level, the commitment on the defensive side that kind of thing.
Bloodman hits the free throw. He's been one of the top free throw shooters so far in the conference this season, 8th in the league. Now 30 of 36 with that make right there.
Yeah, before we went to break, it was Bloodman that drove in the paint and got the foul. Good things happen when you get it inside.
Clean drive, shot was blocked, ends up in Bokum's hands, and he gets fouled on the putback.
It's often used inside shots, lead to inside rebounds. We saw that right there with McClain driving in and Bokum cleaning up the mess.
So Noy will come out of the ball game after picking up the foul. Bokum, a 62.5% free throw shooter. Scored 13 in their 73-65 loss at Toledo on Saturday. Dane, an especially frustrating loss for John Brady's team as they led by 14 on the road against the MAC team.
It's just a matter, they got 10 new guys. They're trying to get their chemistry right and learn to win as a team. That's the biggest thing, is just trying to figure out how to close out games. It looks like they might have an opportunity to fix that tonight with the way things are going.
To quote John Brady, 10 new guys that don't know how to beat nobody. In his best Mississippi English. John Brady was an assistant coach here at Mississippi State under Richard Williams. And the jam followed by Downs.
That possession was lost on the entry pass. Again, Ware has got to get that three-quarter front of the post, even in the zone, and try to keep it out of the post.
Bloodman inside, missed the layup. Mississippi State keeps it alive underneath, and Ware was fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line for 2 free throws. And there's John Brady, assistant coach here from 1983 to 1990. Later went on to become the head coach at LSU. Took the Tigers to the Final Four. And Richard Williams, the man who was the head coach and took the Bulldogs to the Final Four in 1996. Now the color commentator for the Mississippi State Radio Network.
A lot of coaches birthed from that family tree, weren't they? Kermit Davis, MTSU, Donnie Tyndall at Tennessee.
There's that 1996 Final Four team. Richard Williams got them to the national semifinals before they lost to Syracuse in 1996. But you're absolutely right, John Brady. A lot of memories for John Brady coming back into this building here today as he met with Richard Williams during the shoot-around. You mentioned Kermit Davis Jr. Well, his father was the head coach, and of course Kermit Davis Jr. now the head coach of Middle Tennessee. Butch Pierre, who was on his staff at LSU, and Butch's son is now on John Brady's team here, and Butch is now an assistant coach at Oklahoma State. Joe Dean Jr. was a GA at the same time that John Brady was. Paid off for John Brady. 15 years later, Joe Dean's daddy hired him as the head coach at LSU.
Unbelievable how things work out.
Sword the miss. Since Sword came back, Sword's game, Dane, is about slashing to the basket. Since he came back, he has been really reliant on the three-point shot. And until he's back slashing and cutting and driving to the basket, Mississippi State's offense isn't going to be the same as it was a year ago. So take a John Brady and his resume. His 7th season at Arkansas State, 101-95 the record. They've gone 38-25 the last couple of seasons. Still trying to break through, though, and win a championship in that conference.
I tell you, he broke through at LSU, and I was a victim of it playing at Tennessee. We played against him during his final 4 years with Tyrus Thomas and those guys, and went down to LSU and got a couple losses handed to us at Baton Rouge. Back to what you were saying, Matt, about Craig Sword. This is a penetrator guy, and Mississippi State needs more guys that can get in the lane. And I don't know if he's just still doesn't have his legs under him or if he's scared of the contact. I shouldn't say scared, but hesitant of the contact. But they need him slashing.
Reddy slashes, missed the layup. Bokum the rebound.
Mississippi State staying in this zone. Arkansas State has seemed to have the answers so far. They've even done some pick and rolls against the zone. It looks like to do the same thing with Gardner here, where they just got a good jump shot.
Well, we mentioned Arkansas State's record, Dane, but in 3 of their 4 losses, they had leads and probably should have won the game. So the record is very deceptive. Rockwest Johnson pulls down the rebound, led by 18 against Tennessee. Martin and lost, led most of the game against Lamar and lost, led by 14 on the road at Toledo and lost.
Yeah, you certainly can't just look at the record and assume that they're just a 2-4 team. We've seen right now in the first 15 minutes of play, these guys can go, especially that guy, Golden.
Golden kick to the corner, and Gardner misses the three-point attempt, and Oliver Black pulls down the rebound, one of the freshmen that they're very excited about this season. Ready in the paint. Back iron. Bokum another rebound. He's got 6. Gardner on the drive. Out by Sword. SEC Network Basketball is brought to you by Regions Bank. Regions, official bank of the SEC.
And they have a lot of opportunities ahead of them in the SEC.
Keenan Gant makes his debut. Mizzou gets a big win at Xavier, and Kentucky remains the unanimous #1 in the nation despite losing Poitras for the season to a knee injury. Gardner at the line as we return to action. Meantime, Mississippi State has gone stone cold, nearly 6 minutes without a bucket. And Gardner extends the run to 12-4 during that drought.
Mississippi State is a team that really hangs its hat on defense. They understand they're limited offensively, but the defense is what keeps them in game. For right now, they haven't had much success with that, with Arkansas State shooting 50%, 4 threes on them.
Last bucket came at the 9:45 mark. Livingston gets up high to get that rebound. He's got 3 boards to go along with 2 points. Hasn't been a big half for Livingston, but Golden's made up the difference with 11 and Gardner with 8.
I think part of the reason you've seen a slow Livingston to start is due to this zone defense that pulled off the ball.
Houston snags the rebound for Mississippi State. And Arkansas State has even out-rebounded Mississippi State. Foul's going to be called on Livingston, and that'll be number 1 on him, and the 15th foul on the Red Wolves.
Started with a great rim run by Johnson, a good find by Reddy. Reddy, one of the best passer on the team. They need more of that. He's one guy that can really get it inside. You can get into the paint a couple ways. You can throw it down to the post, you can penetrate, you can get good rim runs in transition the way they did there.
So the foul was called on the floor, not a shooting foul. Houston in the backcourt brings it up for Mississippi State. 3 minutes left in the half. Mississippi State gone cold again and down by 6.
One of those guys that was the key to the comeback by the bench. See if he can pick up where he left off.
Dunlap has the only 3 tonight for Mississippi State. Gardner the rebound. Bulldogs have scored only 51 points per game during their current 3-game losing streak.
And I think a lot of that is they are limited skill-wise offensively, but they have to improve on their shot selection. Right there, that was not a good shot.
And you heard Coach Darren Horton hit the nail right on the head back in the SEC Network studio as Boone misses inside. Until Sword gets going, this Mississippi State offense is limited.
Well, and they can't get as good of shots without the penetration, so Sword is going to be one of those guys who get inside.
Ludman. Lid remains on the basket. We're now at 8 minutes without a field goal for Mississippi State. And they're 0 for 12 during that drought.
Mississippi State's going to have to find a way to let their defense dictate their offense and get a stop that could lead to each bucket.
Inside Livingston.
That's not a way to do it.
He's a real load underneath. 8-point lead for Arkansas State.
Livingston has a strength advantage down there for Johnson. Johnson's had a great half. That's a matchup that's good for Brady.
And Rockwell Johnson, the only guy that's really been able to score for Mississippi State. He's got 12 of their 27.
Arkansas State now facing a man-to-man.
And I think if you're looking for silver linings, to go 8 minutes without a field goal and be down only 6 is probably a positive.
I think you got to treat it that way. Livingston right there. That's another too easy to get it in down low. We talked to Coach Ray earlier today about how they like to front the post. It's a three-quarter front to make it tough on the catches. That time, Daniels just got stuck right behind. That's too easy for a guy as good as Livingston.
All right, how are you going to stop that?
I think at this point, you got to just try to get in front of him. That's against the zone, so it's hard. But after that, Mississippi State switches into man-to-man. You might want to just say, hey, guys, we're not doing a good job three-quarter front, so guess what? You just got to front, and we'll have backside help for you. That's the only way that I think you're going to keep the ball out of his hands.
John Brady feels like Anthony Livingston has a chance to be a first-team All-Sun Belt type player for Arkansas State, and the good news for Coach Brady and the Red Wolves is he's just a sophomore. Saturday, the SEC ESPN Network brings you a battle between two of the winningest programs in women's college basketball history as number 11 Tennessee hosts number 7 Stanford at 1 Eastern, live from Thompson Bowling Arena, exclusively on the SEC ESPN Network. See Mississippi State won for their last 15 bench points. They've got the advantage there. Not that it has mattered so far. And Rockwez Johnson off the bench, although he's been a starter most of the season, off the bench tonight, 12 of those 15 points.
Now the timeout to close the half. See what Coach Rick Ray draws up. I know he wants to get it inside, but Arkansas State surprising him with a zone.
Difference of 13 seconds on the game clock and shot clock. Golden is called for the foul. Number 2 on him, 6th team foul on Arkansas State. Neither team has reached the bonus here in the final minute.
Bad foul by Arkansas State. They've done a good job catching Mississippi State off guard with their zone.
Rockwez Johnson 6 of 7 shooting. The rest of the team is 5 for 26. I'd say get the ball to Rockwez Johnson.
They've got to get it into the high post or in that short corner. They can't just stand around and throw it around the perimeter. Looks like they're going to take it down to the last shot.
Bloodman looks inside, down to 4, down to 3. Bloodman in the paint. And that is the way the first half is going to come to a close.
Ware was wide open. That ball has to get in there to Ware. He did a great job of sealing and being open.
So a big first half for Arkansas State as they close the first half on a 16-6 run. They opened the game on a 12-4 run. They closed the half on a 16-6 run. And they take a 35-27 lead on Mississippi State to the locker room. Peter Burns and Darren Horn will send it now to them in our SEC Network studios. Well, 8 days before Christmas, and Santa Claus is already in Starkville. Kids getting a preview of what's to come on the big day. On December 25th, Matt Stewart along with Dane Bradshaw and Dane. Not a good first half for Mississippi State offensively, but not defensively either. Red Wolves shot 50% from the floor, hit 4 threes, and even out-rebounded Mississippi State 21-18.
Mississippi State on offense, to sum it up, bad shot selection. On defensive, giving up too many easy shots. It's that simple. But at the end of the day, Arkansas State was more excited to play this game. Let's see if the Bulldogs can change that to start the second half.
Well, an obviously frustrated Rick Ray as we check in on another SEC Wire.
Like, he catches the ball every single time and, like, gets it down there and score, and you get it down there and you don't score. Man, you got to be better, man. Let's go, move it! That's supposed to be a slip. Write that down, single side. Hey, Travis, we ran 3. You didn't screen the soul, and you got to pop. You set the screen and you pop. Right here, watch. You set the screen there, then you pop. Blue, let's go, move it, blue!
Well, the second teamers for Mississippi State in particular, Rockwez Johnson, who did not start tonight, has been the bright spot for Mississippi State. Meantime, Livingston with 6 points in that first half, Golden 11, and Gardner with 8.
And we heard Rick Ray, you have bad shot selection, but that's going to happen when you don't execute. And that was one of the things he was frustrated with his team on.
Arkansas State in the road black as we start the second half. They lead by 8. And beware of the former SEC coach coming back into the conference. We already saw it this season with Cliff Ellis. And Bocoum fouled on the play. We'll see Cliff Ellis again tomorrow night at Ole Miss as we take a look at the first half stats. Golden leading the way. He hit 3 3-pointers in that first half. Rockwez Johnson off the bench, 12 points, but the rest of the team really lacking offensively, including Fred Thomas.
Yeah, Fred Thomas passed up a couple open threes, took a couple bad shots. But like I said, Mississippi State just wasn't ready to play. On the other hand, Cameron Golden for Arkansas State, I thought he brought a certain swagger and confidence from the get-go, and that had Arkansas State believing they could win this thing.
Bocoum, after missing the first, hits the second. Bocoum with 7 points. And this is not a very deep Arkansas State team. Their 5 starters going to play a lot of minutes. In fact, they've got 3 starters that go 30-plus. Fouls could be called on Gardner. That'll be number 1 on him.
I.J. Reddy starting at the point for the second half for the Bulldogs. Try to see if they can't get some better shots and better movement offensively with a more natural point guard.
Yeah, Reddy and Rockwez Johnson, the 2 non-starters, starting the second half for Mississippi State. Daniels and, as you mentioned, Bloodman also on the bench to start this second half. Kick to the corner, and Reddy steps inside the arc and knocks down the shot.
Matt, that's exactly what Sword needs to do. He dribble penetrated in there, and he got an open look for a teammate. That's what Rick Ray's been begging for now.
This Mississippi State offense is predicated on him being able to drive and either score off the drive or kick out and hit a 3. Reddy dishes inside for Sword, and he missed the money. And Livingston grabs the rebound.
I'd attribute that to rust. I mean, that's just not Craig Sword that we know.
He just didn't get a whole lot of lift on his, when he went up with it. And he is coming off back surgery. Had a bulging disc in his back. Preseason surgery. Missed the first 4 games. Very limited in the next 3 before finally playing 31 minutes in the loss at Oregon State. Inside, Bocoum backing in, using that big old hefty body of his to get the basket. And it is a 9-point lead for Arkansas State.
They're just getting too good of looks down low in the post. And if I'm Rick Ray, I might look at going small and bothering these bigs with some quicker, smaller guys that could front the post instead of just letting them back you down like that.
Less than 10 on the shot clock. Reddy launching the 3. Ware chases it into the corner and saves it to Reddy. Reddy drives. Dished it back out, in particular. Last touch by Arkansas State. So 31 on the shot clock. There you see Golden, 35 minutes per game. Livingston, 33. Gardner, 33. Top 8. 3 of the top 8. And only 17 total minutes off of the bench for John Brady's team tonight.
Mississippi State, a team that's shown a lot of press this year, but not going with it today. And a press is something that could wear guys down like that. Mississippi State just hadn't had the results from their press early in the season for them to have the confidence to stick with it.
Johnson inside with the basket. Johnson with his 7th bucket and 14 points.
That's a matchup I like. I like Johnson against Arkansas State's heftier bigs. Have him front the post defensively and taking advantage of his quickness on the offensive end.
Yeah, at 6'7", he's got the size, and he's got a quickness advantage on those guys as well. Hardwick, Gardner, and there's your inside out exhibited by Arkansas State right there. Penetration by Hardwick, basket, 3-pointer by Gardner.
And Sword got caught ball watching. What we mean by that is when you're just staring at the ball and not seeing your man and the ball. You have to see both.
10-point lead for Arkansas State in the opening 3 minutes of the second half. Thomas, meantime, their leading scorer, still with only 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting. Whip inside to Livingston. And he draws the 2-shot foul.
Those are just too easy of entry passes. It's not just the guy down the post, but it's the ball pressure on the passer. The perimeter has to be more aggressive. Dribble penetration, inside out, always a better shot. Sword didn't see where his man was. He followed the ball on the inside and lost sight of his man. Gardner's a guy that you can't leave wide open. He'll knock it down every time.
And Dane, on that replay, is it my imagination or is Mississippi State just too lackadaisical on defense? It looks like they were just kind of trotting out there.
They just have no consistent effort right now. They came out to start the game. I thought they had start the half, a couple of positive possessions, even on the miss by Sword layup. but they just haven't been able to keep it up. One thing they're going to have to be careful of is getting so frustrated that they can't get stops that they think, okay, we're just going to shoot ourselves back in and outscore them. They have to make sure their focus is on the defensive end if they want to get into it.
Well, Livingston, after missing his first 4 free throws, hits 2 right there. It is a 12-point lead for Arkansas State.
This is the matchup I like. He needs to take them.
Six on the shot clock. Sword, 3-point attempt. Buried it.
They're going to need a few of those if they're going to get back in it.
Remember, Arkansas State is a team that's had some big leads in the second half and not been able to hold on to them this year. Maybe that's a depth thing. We don't know. But they've got a big lead here. Can they hold on to it at the hump?
That's something that as you blow some of those leads, I've been there before as a player, it almost becomes more mental than the physical aspect of it.
Off the inbounds, Golden, back iron, rebound controlled by Black.
With these leads like this, you have to keep being the aggressor and playing to win. You can't sit there and play not to lose. See, Johnson's got to take him, be a threat, go off the dribble, make something happen.
Goes right at Livingston, the miss. Gardner the rebound. On the shot clock. Gardner beats his man off the dribble, passes up to Golden, who drives, roll off the rim. Bokun the rebound.
Black had to slide over to help to lead Bokun. Johnson has to get in there. Johnson's played great offensively, but he's had some defensive lapses like the rest of his teammates. I know you're smaller and you're not as strong as those guys, but that doesn't mean you can't get in there and box them out.
Arkansas State still with their 3-rebound advantage in this game. And Mississippi State on the season has been strong in that category. They're +8 rebounding per game, but not here tonight. Inside, Bokun had his shot blocked by Black, but a foul is called. Arkansas State dominating inside. Bokun fouled. He'll be in the line when we get back. 5.5 minutes into the second half, and Rick Ray's team down 9-2. Let's go inside the play, Dane, and this is the inside out we talked about on 3-point shooting.
The percentages will show you historically, everybody in basketball knows you're a better 3-point shooter if you go inside first and then on the outside. This is an occasion where Sword is actually going to make this shot, but that's a low percentage 3. I can't tell you exactly why. I think it's you're used to that shooting motion where somebody passes it straight to you from underneath the basket in practice. But when you catch it and swing it from the perimeter, you see it's 1 for 8 versus inside out, which means they penetrated in the paint and kicked it out. It went to the post and kicked out. The inside out is a much higher percentage shot. And perimeter passing, what we mean by that is when you stand around the outside and they're swinging it side to side, you might be open, but it's just a lower percentage shot. You've got to turn down a good one to get a better one at times.
Well, I think the inside out also sucks in the defense, opening up the outside shot a little bit more.
That's a great point. In one of the early possessions, we saw Craig Sword show flashes of his old self, get into the lane, and he hit ready on a 15-foot jumper. It was a 15-foot jumper, but it's the same exact scenario.
Bokun with his second miss at the line. He's now 3 for 5. Misses them both. Arkansas State, 14 free throw attempts to Mississippi State's 4. That's also a strong indicator of where the ball is going on offense. They're playing inside. Mississippi State is not.
Absolutely. They're going to do a high ball screen here and try to force the action inside. I think the perimeter guys from Mississippi State, they're getting cut off, but I think they're forgiving and settling too easily to the defense. They need to go in there and force it. And sometimes a good inside miss is better than anything.
Fred Thomas, another miss.
Think about it. that's a miss from the outside. I'd rather have you go in and miss a 2-point shot close to the basket with a better offensive rebound.
Gardner fires home the three. His third three-pointers. Golden and Gardner have 6. All 6 of their three-point shots. Houston gets up high to get the rebound, then was fouled on his move to the basket. Before bowl season gets underway, our SEC Nation analysts prepare you for all the action. The SEC Nation Bowl Preview gives you insight and analysis of the postseason bowl matchups Thursday at 7 on SEC ESPN Network. And watch ESPN. There will be a lot of cowbells in South Beach at New Year's as Mississippi State tangles with Georgia Tech in the Orange Bowl. Bloodman drives and gets the basket.
That's exactly what they need. Bloodman had the open 15-footer, but instead of settling, he kept going and made a tough 2. It was a contested 2, but you have a much better chance at getting an offensive rebound. And the other way just hadn't been working. You got to change it up.
I wonder if South Beach is ready for cowbells. Maybe not. Better be. It's coming. Turnover on Arkansas State. As we take a look at the SEC and the New Year's 6 bowls, Ole Miss and TCU and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta. 12:30 on New Year's Eve day on ESPN. Then the 7th-ranked Mississippi State Bulldogs, led by Dak Prescott, take on the ACC runner-up Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And then on January 1st, the national semifinal in the All-State Sugar Bowl as #1 Alabama takes on the 4th-ranked Ohio State Buckeye. It's going to be a lot of fun with the college football playoff in the first year of the playoff.
And Matt, I've lived this as a guy that was getting recruited by the SEC. We talked to Coach Rick Ray and we said, how big was it to have the Bulldogs football program doing so well recruiting? He said it was absolutely huge. To bring guys on campus and have that experience was absolutely phenomenal.
Rockwez Johnson now with 16, 8 of 10 from the floor.
Rockwez Johnson can have his way down there. If they can get him the ball down low, he's quicker than the opposing bigs.
Got a good chance to obliterate his career high of 20 points. He's done it twice, last year against Ole Miss in a home win here, and earlier this season in an 89-68 victory against Mississippi Valley State. And for right now, Rockwez Johnson goes to the bench, but he has been pretty much all of their offense, 16 of their 38 points.
On the defensive side, I like the sub for Oliver Black.
Gardner with his 4th three-pointer. You see, Mississippi State's bench, led by Rockwez Johnson off the bench, has been the big story for the Bulldogs tonight. The other big story is the ineffectiveness of the starters.
And I tell you, a guy that's making the most of his opportunities is Houston. This guy's come in and played really well, earning himself some big minutes.
Houston now with 4 points.
But he's got to get a hand up on Gardner. And that's the length he has. The other guards don't have that wingspan, but he got the deflection and got it out.
Down to 11:51 to play. Mississippi State losing at home. Bulldogs have surrendered 51% shooting from the floor, 44% shooting behind the three-point line. He isn't happy, as you can hear for yourself on SEC Wired.
End of the day, though, fellas, like, we got to get stops. I mean, stops, all right? What they have at the half, 35? So they've scored 8 already, okay? That's 2 points a minute. That's 2 points a minute. We can't have it, okay? All right? We got to get stops. I mean, like, we got a money situation, like, he just goes right by you. I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, fellas, like, they're just blowing by us. Like, you got to keep them in front of you. Like, we had a money situation. All you had to do was just, like, keep them in front of you. That's it.
And they have not yet done that, Dane. As we talked about the 51 and the 44%, those are season worst numbers for the Bulldogs defense this year.
And if we talk to Coach Ray right now, he wouldn't sit there and tell us, well, we just couldn't execute this play or we couldn't figure out their defense. It's just quite simple. Oh, my goodness.
Houston blows the jam, but he got fouled.
My goodness, backdoor pass by their best passer on the team, Reddy, and their best athlete on the team. Oh, my.
He was above
and he's smiling, looking back at the defender like, you almost made top 10 with me.
Almost. Houston will get a chance to redeem himself here at the foul line.
He'll get a couple before his career's over. And if he keeps playing like he is tonight, he'll have more opportunities and minutes.
Houston, another one of the Montgomery-Carver connection on this Mississippi State team. One of 3 players from Montgomery-Carver, and they've got another one coming in their next signing class in Joe Strug. After our game, stick around. More SEC Network basketball as the Auburn Tigers play host to the Winthrop Eagles at the Auburn Arena, live at 9 Eastern right here on the SEC ESPN Network, and watch ESPN. And KT Harrell, the leading scorer in the Southeastern Conference at 18 points per game, and Simeon Bowers, the leading rebounder in the conference at 11.5 boards per game.
KT Harrell has been phenomenal, a senior that just hadn't quit, even though they've had some rough games. They've also had some good wins, including Oregon State. But his backcourt mate, Antoine Mason, last year's leading scorer in the country at Niagara, has been down with an ankle sprain. So there's been more focus and attention on him defensively, and he still managed to put up great numbers. Simeon Bowers, watch out for him in conference play. This guy's an absolute animal.
All right, your former coach, Bruce Pearl, is now there at Auburn, Tigers head coach. How long? How long before he has that team back in the upper echelon of the Southeastern Conference and playing for a spot in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think people may have expected too much too early because he wasn't inheriting the same team. At Tennessee, he inherited guys like Chris Lofton, one of the all-time SEC three-point shooters, C.J. Watson, who's an NBA point guard. He's not inheriting that at Auburn, so it's taking a little bit more time, but he's still getting things done. Right now, they've been hurt by injuries, but I think they'll get better and better as the year goes along.
Bulldogs have been down by as much as 12. It's 8 right now with 11.5 minutes to play.
I like this matchup. Houston on Gardner. See if Houston can't bother Gardner with his length and stop his three-point shooting. There's an example.
5 on the shot clock. Livingston inside, and he traveled.
And that's a good look. I think that's an adjustment by Coach Ray because Johnson fights to make it a tough entry pass, three-quarter front. But if they get it, look at the double team. Here comes Ware. They hadn't seen that all night. Livingston was caught off guard.
5 turnovers, Mississippi State, 9 for Arkansas State. They go inside to Ware. His pass was deflected and stolen by Livingston. They give it to Hardwick. On the wing, back to Hardwick. He's got no place to go with it. Finally gives it up. Golden. Livingston had an offensive rebound and lost it. Downs. And Ware, Mississippi State comes out of there unscathed after the turnover. Houston. Offensive foul on Houston.
He tried to stop and slow down, but the defender just got outside the paint on the other end. John Brady shaking his head at a bad shot.
And really nice defense by Sean Gardner to stand in there and take the punishment. Now we see some backcourt pressure from Reddy, the point guard.
Swart comes into the game for Houston, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Houston finish this game out as well as he's been playing.
Rockwell Johnson yanks down his 5th board to go along with his 16 points.
They got to get it to Ware when he's open. I mean, there's not a lot of time to get that pass in there. You've got to throw it down low.
Ware inside, has no shot, double team, gets to Reddy. And last touched by Mississippi State. You mentioned they've got to get the ball to Ware. He's had only 5 shot attempts in this game. He's 1 for 5.
They have to, and Coach Rick Ray, I know he's going to emphasize to his perimeter guys, you have got to dump it in there because when we talked to Coach Ray, he said Ware has to be working harder all the time. And he said it's tough as a post guy. You have to work 100% of the time down low to get the ball about 25% of the time. Right now he's getting about 5%, so he's getting discouraged offensively. And the perimeter guys, they have got to reward the big fella.
Blocking foul on Mississippi State.
That was one of the things Coach Ray mentioned to us as well with Ware about his post touches and getting the ball down low. He said the perimeter passing hasn't been great, and so guys are hesitant to throw it in there. They think they might get a turnover. But when he's open, you can't think about it. It's got to go.
Rockwell Johnson called for the foul, his second. 5 team fouls on Mississippi State, only 3 team fouls on Arkansas State. Stolen away as Downs put it on the floor in the paint. And Reddy gets fouled by Golden, his third personal foul. Four team fouls now on the Red Wolves. So far in this ball game, Arkansas State has enjoyed an advantage at the free throw line that visiting teams don't always get. Rockwez Johnson cut off the pass out to Fred Thomas. He remains cold. Thomas has missed 5 shots on 6 attempts.
I like that shot. It was inside out. And Thomas, he's going to have to realize, hey, this isn't going to be the greatest night you've ever had. You're not going to have a career night, but you can't pack it in. The Bulldogs need you at home to get a critical win.
He's now 0 for 3 on his threes. The #1 3-point shooter in the conference at right at 43% behind the arc. Has not had it tonight. McLean goes inside to Bocoum. Bocoum, hard to stop. Got 11 now. He's the third Red Wolf to reach double figures, along with Gardner's 17 and Golden's 11.
Either send a double team, a dig, or something to discourage that move. It's too easy right now down low.
And Reddy knocks down the 3. Second three-pointer for Reddy.
Crowd getting into it a little bit here. A small crowd. You've got exams. Christmas is ahead. Those can be some of the excuses and reasons for a slow start for Mississippi State, but they've got to overcome that.
Reddy had hit only 2 of 13 three-point attempts so far this season. He's hit 2 of their three-point shots here tonight. Foul going to be called on Mississippi State. And that's going to put Bocoum at the line.
And really a pretty simple pick and roll. When we heard Coach Ray on the Wired Up not too long ago, he talked about, guys, it's pretty simple. You just got to get stops. Man up, guard your guy. They're not doing anything that complicated. There's nothing that confusing that Coach Ray has not taught his team or practiced multiple times. At the end of the day, you've got to be accountable and work out there.
Bocoum now with 12 points, 7 rebounds, 4 of 7 at the foul line. The foul was called on Sword. Now 16 fouls on Mississippi State, and with 8 minutes to play, the next one puts Arkansas State in the bonus. Stolen by Golden. Lays it in. And back to a double-digit lead for the Red Wolves.
I know you don't want to foul and get the and one, but if you're Thomas, look at that height advantage. You got to get up in there and try to smack that ball into the 5th row.
Houston inside, and Moy.
Houston should not come out of the game. I know he's young. He's a freshman. He's going to make some mistakes, but he's the only one acting like he wants to win out here right now.
And again, as you pointed out a few moments ago, he's the best bet out on the perimeter because of his length against these smaller Arkansas State guards.
Absolutely.
They've got him shadowing Gardner right now. He's their leading scorer with 17 on 4 of 8 shooting from the 3. Downs at the elbow.
Mississippi State just having some real problems on pick and rolls, pick and pops. Great pass.
Again, and Moy blows it this time. Last time he dunked it, this time he didn't, and he should have.
Not much you can coach there.
Golden with the swipe.
This is where Thomas needs to get up and block it. Instead, he lets him go in for the easy 2.
Back on the other end, Noy slammed it home, but the Bulldogs down 11 and running out of time. Offensively, Rockwez Johnson, Dane, the only thing keeping the Bulldogs in the game.
He's done a great job offensively. On the defensive side, he hadn't been as productive. It's bothered him with the strength, but offensively, he's got a mismatch. He's quicker than Arkansas State's bigs. And so if I'm Coach Ray, I want to keep feeding him the ball down low. And at times, maybe not right on the block, but a step off to where you give him enough space to make 1 or 2 dribbles to get around the defender.
And how about Rockwez Johnson tonight? He has outscored Mississippi State's starting 5, 16-13.
We talked earlier, this is a guy that's
the starters.
And he's been a starter before, so he's trying to work his way back in the lineup and earning it right now.
And those starters with 13 points, 4 of 24 shooting. There's Rockwez Johnson again, and he goes against the double team and draws the foul.
That's what we just talked about, Matt, getting him the ball in that paint around that area, but he's not one you want to just get it to so deep. You want to give him enough space, 5-10 feet, so he can have room to operate and get around the bigs.
Downs is called for the foul. That's his third, the 5th team foul on Arkansas State. And Rockwez Johnson goes to the line for the first time tonight. Only 6 free throw attempts for Mississippi State prior to that one right there. They're now 6 of 7 at the line.
Yeah, that's something we really hadn't talked about this game, but has been missing in action. If Mississippi State wants to get back in this game and extend the clock, they've got to get to the line.
The other thing that we have not pointed out is the fact they only have 4 assists tonight on 19 makes. And already twice this season they've had games in which they had fewer than 5 assists, including only 3. That's hard to believe. Only 3 in their loss against TCU.
And it's not as simple as we don't have very good shooters.
They do. Golden knocks down another 3. He's got 4. Both he and Gardner have knocked down all 8 of the 3-pointers for the Red Wolves. It's a 12-point lead again, matching their largest of the game.
Houston put his head down afterwards. He knew he lost sight of his man. It was a big mistake. If he can just stay on him, Gardner won't be able to get a shot off.
Down to 6. Ready.
And, Matt, that's why they're not having many assists and low shooting percentage. Just coming off early in the shot clock, shooting the 3. I know you're trying to get back in and fight into it, but it's got to start with inside the paint and getting stops on the defensive side.
Inside Livingston had it knocked away by Noy.
That's what they need more of, the double team down low. That's the second time they bothered Livingston.
Ready inside the arc, barely grazed the iron. That's a quick shot right there.
Just too fast. And I know you want to keep the confidence of your players and not have them second guessing themselves, but at some point I think you got to say, guys, nobody's taking a shot unless it goes inside first or it's in transition.
Fred Thomas comes up with the easy steal, and Thomas gets it back and lays it in. Just his second basket, and a timeout call by Rick Ray as they cut it back to 10.
I think that's a great timeout. You get a positive play there. Now he can settle them down and say, all right, guys, we're within 10. How can we get a stop and let this lead to more baskets? Arkansas State whipping the ball out to the three-point line. They've hit 8 of those on 17 attempts, and they still lead by double digits with 5:16 to play. Easy basket by Fred Thomas right before his timeout to cut it to 10. There was the steal right there, and Fred Thomas with the layup. That's what they've got to do. Mississippi State is a team on the defensive side. That's where they hang their hat. That's what leads to any offense that they're able to produce. They only allow teams under 60 points a game. They've already given up 60. So right now, I think Coach Rick Ray called a good timeout right after a made basket to remind his team, hey, we're not going to get back in this thing with quick shots early in the shot clock. We're going to get stops on one end, and then on the offensive end, do not shoot that ball until it goes down in the post. And they've given up 60 plus on just 3 occasions this season, twice winning. And look, they're going to have to find the shooters for Arkansas State. In the first half, it was Cameron Golden. In the second half, it's been Gardner that's been lighting it up. You just got to make it a key focus to keep an eye on those guys. Showing a little bit of press now out of the timeout. But as we heard from Rick Ray earlier on SEC Wire, they got to get some stops, and they're just not getting enough stops, and it starts becoming a math situation right here. Number of possessions and time left in the game. I think this is a good call, trying to get in the press, see if you can force some turnovers, because you got to do something differently. Even if the press hasn't been that effective for you so far this year, you got to try something. You're down 10 with 5 minutes to go. Yeah, Rick Ray told us that they were in the 40th percentile in their half-court defense, 98th percentile. Oh, wow, just blew the defense on the inbounds pass, and Golden was left wide open. Well, there you go. That was the example of the bad half-court defense. That's the life of a coach. You call timeout, tell your team what to do, and then they fall asleep on a simple inbounds pass. Houston. Livingston had the rebound, had it knocked away, and Golden got poked in the eye. Okay, Dane, how does this happen on the inbounds? I think one side thought they were in zone, one thought they were in man-to-man. You see Houston, who's not sure what they were in, and I'm not even sure he knew the ball got, the referee had inbounded the ball yet. And so that's one reason Houston's a guy that's playing with a lot of energy tonight and a guy that I vouch for to keep in the game, but that is something young guys really struggle with, and coaches do too. You want to get guys in there, but are they a liability on the defensive end because it's a learning process? There's so much to learn that wasn't taught or wasn't as important at the high school level.
Golden got poked in the eye and misses the front end of the 1-and-1.
For a team like Mississippi State, we've only scored 50, and you've got to score probably 20 more at.
We haven't seen Ware on the floor in a long time. And ready with the scoop and score and draws the foul.
That's where they're most productive, getting it inside there. Like I said before, even if it's a missed shot, it creates a better offensive rebounding opportunity. Reddy, who had struggled before, we missed an open three in the pass and a pull-up jumper, decided not to settle and take it inside. And with the time constraints, but with the time constraints, they've got to get themselves to the line. That's the only way they're going to catch up, get themselves in the bonus, and see if they can't turn to Arkansas State a couple times and get back in this thing.
Golden was called for the foul. He now has 4, so he goes to the bench for a couple minutes here. It'll just be a matter of when does Brady feel comfortable enough to get him back in that ballgame. Probably, you know, after they have the under 4 timeout.
Arkansas State, they've got to be the aggressor if they want to win this game. They've blown some leads early in this season. They can't let that creep into their head.
Gardner knocks down a 2.
Gardner said it ain't happening tonight. I'm sick of losing leads in the past. We're going to get this one on the road.
How about Sean Gardner with 23 points tonight on 8 of 13 from the floor, 6 of 10 on his 3-pointers.
That's a better look.
Thomas open in the corner. Man, he cannot buy a 3 tonight. 0 for 4.
Came in as the SEC's leading 3-point shooter percentage-wise.
You know, and everybody was kind of surprised about that, but you know what they say, Dane, everything evens out.
But the problem is when you struggle offensively, you can't allow it to affect your defense. I think that's been one of the biggest problems for Mississippi State tonight is their awareness and alertness on the defensive side.
Clock approaching 3 minutes left in this ball game. Livingston, rim out. Mississippi State's got to be very aggressive now offensively. Time not on their side. Houston open on the wing. Inside Rockwest Johnson fouled. He'll go to the line. Time running out on Mississippi State. They are 2:47 away from a 4-game losing streak. Lead with 2:47 to play tonight at 11 on the SEC ESPN network. Join our network analysts as they discuss all the SEC news of the day on SEC Now. Also available on Watch ESPN. And a couple of history-busting scenarios unfolding here tonight, Dane. A Mississippi State loss would give them their first 4-game non-conference losing streak for the first time in 19 seasons since the 1996 season when Richard Williams was the head coach, the year after they went to the Final Four. And a victory for Arkansas State would be their first over Mississippi State since the 1955-56 season.
There's going to be some growing pains for Rick Ray and this staff and this program. As somebody told me once, you got to break a few eggs and make an omelet. But the problem I think Coach Ray is going to have tonight isn't with experience or talent. It's with effort and focus and where your mindset was. Because these guys like Thomas and Sword, look, it was one thing when you were a freshman, you got thrown into the fire. We understand. But you're juniors, you're upperclassmen now. You got to show the heart and lead by example and pull these wins out.
Well, to break those eggs and make that omelet, you need to keep the shells out of the omelet. Right now, Mississippi State's got a lot of shells in their omelet.
And it's not over yet. They need to convert this free throw, get into their press, and force Arkansas State into some turnovers.
Johnson now at 20 points on the night. That matches his career high that he had against Mississippi Valley earlier and against Ole Miss last season. Well, they need more than that right now, down 9 with 2:35 to play.
I've been really impressed with Arkansas State's big men and their IQ level. Against the press, they're breaking it, and then they're holding it. As soon as I say that, Livingston puts it on the ground and tries to force it. But Arkansas State all night, their big men have been a huge key. I know Gardner with the three-pointers, that he's been a highlight film, but right now the big men, I think, has been the big difference for Arkansas State.
Door still open for Mississippi State after the double team produces the turnover, the tie-up, and the possession arrow pointing in favor of the Bulldogs. So they bring it down the floor. A chance to cut it to 7, perhaps 6. Sword turns it right over. Tried to go by Bokum. Tried to run through a double team.
Yeah, he tried to split the trap. Right idea about attacking, but just knowing when to do it. That type of play can happen after about 15 seconds have gone off the clock. You've made the defense work, not when they're set.
Golden has to go back. Sword had touched it, so no over and back violation. 10 on the shot clock. Hardwick traveled.
Hardwick can penetrate as good as anybody on the court. He's got to keep his head up. There's a couple times tonight where he's been open for the layup, and it's great that he's the pass first guy, but you got some wide open layups in front of him. Right now, if I'm Mississippi State, I want to get this ball into Johnson down low, give him some room to operate. There he is.
Inside. Johnson missed the reverse, and Livingston grabs the rebound. That might have been their last best chance.
You can't get them any closer than that. I mean, that sometimes Coach Rick Ray, he can only draw up so many plays and try to execute what he can, but he can't put the ball in the hole for the guys.
Gardner. Johnson the rebound. That's 7 boards for him to go along with his 20 points. The time running out on Mississippi State right here. Reddy misses. Hardwick the rebound. And I think that's it. And Reddy commits the foul. That's going to put Hardwick at the line.
Matt, I'm sure Coach Ray and his staff are not going to sleep very well tonight, but the players shouldn't either. At this point in the season, again, not a lot of expectations for you in conference play. You're still building your program. But this is one of those times where there needs to be a players-only meeting. Somebody needs to step up, bring the guys in there, not the coaches. They've done their part of trying to get the message across to the players. The players got to find it within themselves.
Foul called on Arkansas State. Battling Sword for the rebound, and Golden is just fouled out. That's number 5 on him. As Dane, we take a look at our All-State good hands play of the game, and it was a great ball movement by Arkansas State on the offensive end to whip the ball to Gardner to knock down one of his 5 three-pointers tonight.
He was the story of the second half. Mississippi State tried different matchups. They kept losing them in what we call ball watching. You got to see man and ball, and when you don't, a guy as good as Gardner's made his whole career off of getting open spots and knocking down threes. He's going to make you pay every single time.
Gardner, the 4th-year junior out of Memphis, another one of these kids from the Memphis area, just like you, Dane. 22 points tonight. The miss by Sword on the 1-and-1. Foul called on Sword, and that's going to put Hardwick at the line.
Back to Mississippi State and their mindset as a team with the players only meeting, because there's an old saying, don't let the same game beat you twice. And right now, this is a huge letdown. This will be a disappointing loss. Don't take anything away from Arkansas State. We expected this to be a good game, no question about it. But you've got USC Upstate coming in, and then you've got Jacksonville and McNeese State. Those are your next 3 games if you're Mississippi State. Don't let this type of performance carry over. You've got to fix things starting right after this game. You might not be able to practice right after this game, but mentally you can improve.
Well, don't take Upstate lightly. Eddie Payne's team has already beaten Georgia Tech and playing Memphis tonight. They've already beaten the Yellow Jackets on their home floor in Atlanta. Meantime, Rick Ray's team staring at a 4-game losing streak against TCU, at Tulane, at Oregon State, and now here at home against an Arkansas State team that coming in had won just 2 games all season against Central Arkansas and Belhaven.
This is an Arkansas State team that's competed very well, has not been able to close out games. We focused a lot on what the Bulldogs haven't done, but give credit where it's due. In Arkansas State, what they have done, they kept going to what was working. Their shooters made shots. Their big guys banged down low. That's old school basketball. Remember when the perimeter guys were fundamentally sound and made shots, and the big guys stayed down low? It wasn't a bunch of pick and pop. And they had just taken it to the Bulldogs, and Arkansas State has improved. We talked earlier about could they find their identity as a team. This could be a turning point for their season where they realized, hey, we can get a lead, we can take care of it, and we can step on the opponent's throat when we need to.
Got to be sweet for John Brady, the former Mississippi State assistant, former head coach at LSU, to bring his Sun Belt team in here to this SEC arena and get a win. We saw it earlier this season on SEC Network when Cliff Ellis went into Auburn and got a win, and we'll see Cliff Ellis again tomorrow night. You and I will be up the road at Ole Miss as they play host to Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, both guys I had the pleasure of playing with when I was at Tennessee. Cliff Ellis was at Auburn, and John Brady at LSU when I was there. And did some winning and losing against both of those teams, but both coaches can just flat out coach. There's a reason they're still in the business, and getting upsets, we like to call them upsets. To them, I don't think they're upsets.
Hardwick back at the line, misses the first. Red Wolves will improve to 3-4 on the season. They will host Marshall on Saturday. Then a road trip to Niagara. Sword fires and misses, and then they open their season Sun Belt Conference schedule at South Alabama on December 30th. This is an Arkansas State team picked to finish 5th in the Sun Belt. Looking good here tonight.
They sure are, and it's going to take time for 10 guys to come together. They're very talented, but there's chemistry that has to be developed. I think tonight, getting a big win like this, and don't underestimate what it's like to do this on the road. I mean, that's the biggest key to all this. Anybody can win at home, but can you go on the road, get a lead, protect it? And this wasn't a huge crowd here tonight, but it was still on somebody else's turf.
Well, they'd had the big lead at Toledo in their last ball game, unable to hold it. They got the big lead here tonight, and they were able to protect it. Reddy drives, blows the layup. Okun chases it down in the corner. And all we have left to do is figure out the final score. Arkansas State's going to get the win here tonight.
I think if you're Coach Rick Ray, you can point to your team and point out a lot of positives that your opponent did. Say, all right, how did they beat us? Arkansas State had a disappointing loss coming into the game, just like we did. But how did they respond? And that shows higher character of the team. And that's not to say Mississippi State doesn't have character, but tonight, I don't think mentally they had it as much as they didn't have it physically.
Arkansas State a 69-55 winner over Mississippi State as John Brady brings his Red Wolves into the hump and gets the program's first win against Mississippi State since the 1955-56 season. And how did they do it? They shot better than 52% from the floor. They were 8 of 19 on their three-point shots. They out-rebounded Mississippi State 39-33 and out-assisted Mississippi State 13-4. All in all, Dane Bradshaw, that was a thorough victory for Arkansas State.
If you can't shoot the three, you better be able to defend it. Mississippi State didn't do either. They didn't shoot the three, less than 20%, and then all of a sudden they give up 40% to Arkansas State. They couldn't find shooters, and then not only that, but they were getting killed in the paint. There wasn't much that Mississippi State did right defensively. Open shooters, the zone, they're lackadaisical. The zone can be effective, but you got to have movement and hands, and today they just simply didn't have the energy defensively. They were losing guys even when they went to man-to-man. Gardner was filling it up. Credit Arkansas State for staying aggressive even when they had the lead. They played to win. They didn't play not to lose.
And as you looked at those replays, you saw how open Gardner and Golden were on the way to knocking down 8 three-pointers in this game.
Those stats don't tell the whole story. 3 for 17 for the Bulldogs, 8 for 19 from 3 for Arkansas State. But it was shot selection. The quality of shots is what leads to those results.
So Mississippi State, after starting the season 5-0, now 0-4, and they've got a tough USC upstate team coming up this Saturday. That's no breather for them right there as they drop their first here at home tonight.
It's like we talked about, don't let the same game beat you twice. And I think Mississippi State, somebody on that roster needs to have a players-only meeting, because it's not that Arkansas State was a pushover team. They're very capable of beating you, but it's how you lost with the energy and the focus. And they got to be able to bounce back, because USC upstate will come in here and do the same thing, if not worse. years if they're not ready.
Well, we started the game by talking about these two teams trying to figure out who they are, what they got, and where they're going. John Brady's Arkansas State Red Wolves a little bit closer to knowing the answers to those questions here tonight, while Mississippi State's still searching for some answers.
Yeah, Coach Brady with 10 new guys. It was only a matter of time before they figured out how to win. The record was deceiving coming in, 2-4, but they were in a lot of those games, had blown some leads. For them to be able to go on the road, and like we like to say, when you get a lead, be able to step on an opponent's throat, that's what they did tonight. Coach Rick Ray, there's a lot of good things happening with this program. I really like what he's doing. He's got some great recruits coming in. But his juniors, guys that have been with them for 3 years, they're no longer babies anymore. It was one thing when they were freshmen and got thrown into the fire, but right now they got to act like upperclassmen.
69-55 the final here as Arkansas State defeats Mississippi State. Rockwest Johnson was really the one bright spot for the Bulldogs tonight as the Red Wolves knock off the Bulldogs. Mississippi State now 5-4 on the season. And now for Dane Bradshaw and Matt Stewart, we send you to Peter Burns and Coach Darren Horn in our SEC Network studios.